What's going on, y'all? Saint Piper here, aka Black Native. Hope y'all had a good day. This video is going to be about depression, my experiences with it, and how I overcame it. So, from the beginning, I'm going to say it started when I was in high school, but I didn't recognize it until I was well out of college. Not well out of college, my last year in college, actually. Correction. So, when I was in high school, everything was good my freshman year, but my family started having like some kind of financial problems, you know what I'm saying? So we started moving a lot. And I remember coming home to eviction notices and things like that, and that kind of bothered me, but I didn't understand it I was still young, I matured a little later. My mom did a pretty good job at hiding those responsibilities from her children because, we were children. She let us have our childhood. But this is not on her. Let me make that clarification right now. Things just happen, and the tests you go through are for you. They made for you, tailor-made, so you can become who you're supposed to be, right? To do the things you're supposed to do for the universe, for your people. But I felt like everybody could see that we had financial problems. Like, it took away that confidence. I used to feel like everybody could see what was going on with my family. So I used to always pretty much stay secretive, not give out too much information, try not to get into deep personal conversations just because I just felt like that was a weak point. I felt vulnerable, you know what I'm saying? And things kind of got worse from there. We moved away. We had to move to an apartment, and it was a family in like a smaller apartment. Like, it wasn't fit for the amount of people that we had up in there, and we were living in there. We made do. It was just like a short-term thing so we can get back on our feet, but at the same time I still felt that weakness and that loss of a voice, and anger too, but so I'm gonna say it started there, right? I started living with another family that was actually closer to school, so we moved an hour away once we lost the house, or decided to, that it wasn't a good financial decision or it wasn't feasible anymore. And that became troublesome because it was like $20 at that time, like $25 of gas a day. That was just driving. That wasn't food, that wasn't nothing. That was like every day. Like, some people get mad because they paid a toll, $1, $2, $5, and or $3, well, depending on where you at. But we was paying $25 a day. And then when we couldn't drive, we used to get dropped off. We had to fill that person's tank up every day. So it was just the same thing, same issues, right? But bottom line, I felt like people could see that. I'm walking around the classroom, I'm in class, that's on my mind. I'm not even thinking about what the hell I'm writing down. I'm not thinking about the test, and I'm not thinking about the lesson. I'm just thinking about, what I'm saying, hopefully, no, I'm invisible a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I just want to feel normal. I felt like everybody else had the perfect household situation, the right scenario for them to learn and to be a real high schooler, like a teenager with everything made, everything made for them, and they would be straight. Except for me. I felt like me and my little brother was the only one who didn't have that. So going on, that just felt impossible to keep doing. Like, I was either going to have to go to a worse school in the city or keep going to the school out into the suburbs, even though I was from the city. So my mom came. I played football. She went to a 7-on-7. Some people call it Pascali, that we had against, a local team, another high school team. And she, parents talk. So she started to talk with another parent, and, you start talking, problems come out, and they thought it was a good idea. They agreed to let us stay with who became my family, the Davis family. They became my family. Like, they took us in, took me and my little brother in, and, we started staying with them. So we actually stayed with them for 2 years, but everything was good. I appreciated them for everything they did. But it was hard in my mind, mentally. I was still dealing with that. Like, now I'm feeling even more vulnerable because I'm living with a new family with new sets of rules, and I gotta abide by the rules, which they weren't harsh or nothing, but it was just a different environment, and I didn't feel no stability, because between us making that decision to stay with them permanently, sometimes we would go from my brother's, other people's house, and even with that didn't last, because we ended up going to a cousin who I had never met in my life house to stay with them for like the last, not even them, her, for the last year or whatever, not the last semester, excuse me. So I didn't have no stability and no security. So I was always thinking about where I'm gonna sleep tonight. Like, that's how I felt at a certain point before we made it like pretty permanent with the Davis family. And with my little brother, and I didn't have a job or nothing. I was just always focused on football. I was just always focused on getting to where I wanted to get, because I felt like that was my way out of this darkness. I felt like this was my way out of this weakness. Like, once I get a scholarship, go to school, like, everything's gonna be better. So fast forward, I actually get into college. I get a lot of scholarships. Thank Yahawah. It's all due to Yahawah. That's another story. The specifics about how that happened. I get into college and everything's good. I'm feeling good, but I noticed that I really don't have much of a tolerance for talking to my family or anything to do at home. I didn't even apply to any schools at home, but I had no tolerance. Like, I didn't want to talk to nobody. I was short with everybody back home, but I was like running from that. I associated home with darkness. And right now, this is before I even recognized, guys, that that was something going on with me mentally, emotionally. Really, I was just thinking, this is a part of life. This is my story, and I got to deal with it. Just deal with it and make it through. Be strong. All right. And time go on. Things get better. I'm not going to lie. Things get better. I make new friends. I went to school in Minnesota. I'm from Louisiana, right? I went to school in Minnesota. I'm up there, and I get real close with some friends. I get real tight with them. And some of my friends, one of my best friend got kicked out of school. And that was hard on me. So I've really felt like, okay, now I'm back up here alone. You know what I'm saying? And that was tough. And then finally, I took like this class. It was, what is it called? Philosophy class, but it was about religion. And people in the class were asked to argue for religion, depending on the philosopher we were studying, and argue against it. And that really put some stress on me, because I was raised Christian. And that was it, like when you raised a certain way and that's all that's all that is. And it's hard for you to get out of that. And that really kind of started to spark something in me, like that really opened me up to something, and I felt like I wasn't ready for it, just because I had to argue for why God wasn't real and why there's no heaven when you die, like stuff like that. And it was just mind blowing. I had a nosebleed like every night for 2 weeks because I just couldn't handle it. Like, it was really stressful for me. Like, for everybody else, I bet it was just an assignment, but for me, it was like changing who I was, and it really made it even darker. Like, I anytime I was alone, like, I had panic attacks. A lot of people didn't see that because I was alone. You know what I'm saying? My friends, like, if they see this video, they were like, "What the hell?" Like, yeah, I had panic attacks and stuff like that. Like, shortness of breath. It was, even when I was in the shower, guys, like, I didn't have no peace because I was really dealing with a lot up here. And like I said, I was already cutting people out of my life and losing my voice. So I didn't even know how to go about explaining that to someone. All right, moving on. My best friend comes back up to school, and things go left, and he actually gets in trouble and gets charged where like he beat somebody up and the police picked him up. And that was really stressful for me. And, you know, it was my senior year. And one of my younger friends, he was like I want to say sophomore. He actually was getting in trouble too, like, you know, and I was really a hothead at the time, but I had to be really calm about it. And that was even worse because I couldn't express myself. You know, I felt like I had to keep it together for everybody else. And that was hard. And I was with you know, I had like a partner at the time. We wasn't like boyfriend and girlfriend, but everybody thought we was, right? But we was real tight. And we had some roller coaster things going on with that. So I started to really, I never was a drinker. I never was like a person to do drugs. But I really started like dabbling with, you know, over-the-counter medicine, abusing anything. I was like abusing NyQuil. I started like binge drinking, making cocktails of medication mixed with alcohol, mixed with other medication, mixed with other alcohol, like drinking it just so I could feel numb, you know, stuff like that. I remember having thoughts of suicide as well as, and it would come out of nowhere. Sometimes I would just be like riding on, like we had like a bus. And it would be like, man, if this bus was to like flip over or whatever, I'll be straight with that. That'd be cool with me. You know what I'm saying? Or stuff like if I was driving, like I'll just get the urge, like a violent urge to like just run off the road and just end it all. Like it was coming out of nowhere because I didn't really think like that. And I was kind of like, what is going on with me? All right. I'm still not saying I'm depressed because just that word, right? Like I'm depressed, like, right? And I'm still not understanding that I'm actually having anxiety attacks and I'm anxious. You know what I'm saying? I'm anxious. And when I wasn't sipping spirits, abusing medication, I didn't enjoy life. I would say things to, you know, tell the people around me that I'm having nightmares, violent dreams and darkness, and, you know, that everything in my life was going wrong, and I couldn't see from the outsider's perspective at all. I wasn't positive at all, so that was going on with me. It didn't get really bad until I finally graduated. I was away from my friends. I was away from my partner. I was away from this new life that I thought was the answer to my old life. You know, sometimes you could run from something and think it's gone, but when I went back home, like, it was still there waiting for me, and it just hit me that I was like all alone. That's what it felt like. I was all alone, and I had made some decisions while I was in college that came back to haunt me. And I lost who I was when I was in college. And it was devastating. Like, I didn't know who I was. I lost my identity. Therefore, I lost my purpose because I didn't understand my design. I didn't know who I was. I had no friends. I felt like I didn't have a good support system. And I felt like I was all alone. So from that, I started to have even worse panic attacks. My self-esteem was through the floor. Like, I didn't think I was worthy of anything good. I couldn't sleep. I would sleep for like 15 minutes at a time, like 15 to 30-minute increments for 2 hours a night. Other than that, I was panicking, thinking somebody was going to kill me. You know, it was horrible, man. I couldn't breathe. And my mom noticed something was wrong, but I had no voice. I had no confidence, so I didn't know how to even go about telling her, like, this is what's going on with me, you know. It was bad, man. It was really bad. Like, I slept. The sleep was the worst part because I was always so tired, but I hated to sleep. You know, you ever seen those Freddy Krueger movies where they like tired as hell and the only thing they can't do is sleep? That's how it felt. That's how it felt, man, and it was hard. I started texting my friends because they would, where I went home to wasn't their home. So I had no close communication, so I had to text and call, and anytime they wouldn't pick up right away or anything like that, that would like, I would be like, what the hell? Like, why are my friends not there for me? Like, even with my partner, I was like, oh man, she ghosted me or whatever, which, you know, I wasn't wrong about certain things, but it was the way I handled it. You know what I'm saying? I started handling it like it was the end of the world. Like I couldn't live without these people doing these things for me. I didn't even know how to pray. Because when I got in college, I had totally dismissed, God. Like I thought, like I had totally put that out the way. My spirituality was high in high school, and it was through the floor in college. So when I got home, I had nothing. I didn't eat. My appetite was gone. No appetite. I would eat a tomato sandwich a day. One tomato sandwich. That's bread, tomatoes, butter, lettuce. That's what I had. And I was working at the Waffle House as a manager. As a manager, I was training to take over a store. So it's like I was around food. I just hated it. When I saw families, like it did something to me. I thought everybody I saw was superior to me. I don't know why, but I just felt like really low, and I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay inside all the time. So, but I had certain instincts, you know. I had certain instincts that helped me get out of this. First thing I did, you know, was start to pray. But when I was praying, I didn't feel like God was listening. Like, I remember how I felt when I used to pray in high school, and I felt like I was talking to my Father. I knew how I was talking to Yahawah. I knew I was talking to Yahawah. I knew the messages were getting there, but this time around, it was like, I might as well shut up because he wasn't hearing me. I felt no connection, y'all. It was the scariest shit in the world. It's like I don't know the answer and I can't get the answer. I don't know the remedy and I can't find it. No one's going to tell me. Like, I felt like I was never going to get out of this. It was always a panic, short breaths, man. I'm telling y'all, this shit was crazy, man. You know, I used to have my other side of my mind always telling me that I wasn't going to get out of it, and I had a battle constantly uphill. It was a constant uphill battle against my own brain. And that's crazy. Like, you know, that's your own mind. Yes, like your own mind would do that to you, telling you you're not good enough, telling you you messed up too bad to be forgiven because of the things you did. You should have never did it. Now your life is over. Like, stuff like that. Anyway, so I started to evaluate everything. When I went to work, I used to ask the people who were like, just not managers, but people who had been there before me. And I was asking them, what was your dreams? Because I was worried that I would never get my dream again. So after I was praying, I kept praying until I felt like God was talking to me. You know, I kept praying till finally he answered. Like, I was like knocking on that door. And then once he started answering me, at least I felt like he didn't even answer me yet. I felt like Yahawah was at least acknowledging me. Like my messages were at least getting to him. That's what I can say. I started to also evaluate my circle and evaluate the people around me, right? So I'm praying for forgiveness. I'm praying for the answers. And the biggest thing, I was just praying for the truth. I didn't want to ask man nothing. I was like, Yahawah, what's the truth about everything? I need help. I've been doing this wrong. Christianity didn't seem to help me to like where I felt comfortable. Me doing this, whatever religion on my own, effed me over. And so I need to hear from you. What is the right way? I don't want religion. What is your way? And he started speaking to me. Then I started seeing all the people around me. I started cutting people off, evaluating my own habits. I had to cut hip-hop music, rap music, anywhere. I had to cut that totally off. I was listening to Rance Allen. I was listening to all positive music. It didn't have to be Christian music. If it was positive, I was listening to it. No trap music, no drill music, no nothing. I couldn't do that because every time I heard it, it's crazy, but I would hear, yeah, I'm asleep with your girl. I got all of this and you ain't got nothing. And I felt like it's like I finally heard that they was talking to the listener. It's crazy how people listen to that music and they telling you that they better than you and that you never gonna beat them at nothing and that they hate you basically and that they would kill you. And it's like when I finally got at the lowest point in that valley, I could see how I was so sensitive that I could see what it really was. Like I could see that they were really saying that to us. And I hated it. And every time I heard it, it made me like it was like getting punched in the face. So I had to stop listening to it, right? I asked everybody at the job that I could, what was their dreams? And none of them said working at Waffle House. Two dudes, one of the managers told me he didn't never have no dreams. That's when I knew I was in the wrong place. I quit like a week after that. I didn't even make it 3 weeks there. I had a mental break. I had a breakdown, a public breakdown. I went out of that Waffle House crying like a baby. Not little tears, like tears running down my face, snot coming out my nose, running down the street with tears in my eyes, in traffic. It was really bad. I worked at the Waffle House on Canal Street. And I ran to 2-lane crying. And I was just crying in public. I called my mama. She answered, and she came. We went to City Park, and we was just talking. And, I got out, and I just went by the ducks. They got the ducks out there. And I just was like, bruh, what's going on with me? Like, people have been around me their whole life and never seen me cry. Like, I'm not an emotional person like that. Like, this was unusual and it was outrageous. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle myself. That's what it felt like. I was too much for me. So after I evaluated my circle, I realized I didn't fit in with nothing that I was doing. No more hip hop music that I was listening to until I got my mind right. No more friends who, they friends when it's convenient for them, and no being around people with no dreams. Why would I be around them? No room for that job? That was just a job, and it was dead end. They were doing that to put their kids through school. They didn't love that job, and I didn't have any children. I didn't have a wife. So why would I do that? I should go after my dreams. I should go after something that makes me happy. So I quit that job and I rested because I had to go back for a super semester. So that if you don't know what that is, that means you did 4 years for your bachelor's, and you got to do a little extra time for credits or something. So I had to go back for one more semester to finish. But another thing that helped me get out of it after I prayed, after I did some evaluation, was constant exercise. So once I quit that job, I had enough time to always be exercising, to stay busy. I would say anybody going through depression, be busy, man. Be busy until you get better. Like, I'm not saying run away from your problems, but what I would do is wake up. As soon as I wake up, before the thoughts could even get in my head, I would go outside into nature. Please get into nature. I'm telling you, nature is soothing. I would get out and I would listen to the birds, and I would walk. I would just walk. I would walk. I would walk. For real, because if I stop moving, then the thoughts, it's like every time I stop moving, the thoughts caught up with me. They got like this thing on Family Guy when they talk about, I think it was, they said Tom Cruise had like these weird thoughts, and that's why he ran so much in his movies, to run away from his thoughts. I thought that was a joke. It could be a joke. You know, it is a joke, but bruh, I really did that. I really would run and jog all day and sing. I started to write. That's another thing. So prayer, evaluation, exercise, getting in nature, and then I started to write down my feelings, write down these letters to my friends, write down letters to my partner who I felt like ghosted me at the time, write down songs, poems, anything, write down my goals. I would just express myself, finally try to get that voice back, you know what I'm saying? Because I had lost it. And I finally started to have a positive outlook, because I was telling myself positive things. When I was walking, I would use these positive affirmations. That's what it was. That's what it was, y'all. I started telling myself that I was, handsome, that I was wealthy, that I was worth it, that God does forgive. And he started to talk to me too when I was taking these walks and I was in nature. I could hear God more clear than being inside with, Netflix and, stuff in my face with food. Like when I just got out first thing with Rose with the Sun, I could hear Yahawah clearer, and he was saying like, no one's past redemption. Like, he was letting me know that grace is in the very fabric of the universe. It does not depend on man. Reparations is not unique to people. If a lizard's tail come off, he can grow it back. An octopus tentacle, he can grow it back. Your skin, you get a scrape, you gonna grow your skin back. Like, grace is a part of the universe, and he was telling me this is the truth. You don't have to think that it's over for you. If you want your dream, I'm gonna give it to you. Now it might be different because I gotta, put you back on track. It might be a little later, but you still gonna get your dream as long as you don't give up. And I'm promising you that. So you could bet that. And I was like, okay, man, I get it now. Like, okay, it's not over. I can make it. I started to have hope. And whatever I had positive affirmations about, y'all, I started to meditate on it. So, I did exercise. I first of all, I prayed until I felt like God could hear me. And then I started evaluating everything about my life. Then I cut things off that I didn't need. Then I started to exercise because I had more time. That job had to go. I had more time. After that, I had those positive affirmations, and I could actually hear God while I was in nature. Because of that, right? Because I was exercising a lot, it cleared my mind so much that I was able to meditate. And I was afraid to be alone with my own thoughts, y'all, when all of this got bad. But then I started to meditate on the positive affirmations and on the promises that God had given me. You see what I'm saying? So it was a process. It took me a long time. I'm not talking about a month. This took me like 6-8 months to where I could finally go a day, maybe, or 3/4 of a day without having a little mental, like instability. You know what I'm saying? Like I could really go most of the day without getting that fear man, there was so much fear. If you listen, you should listen to the song by Logic called Anxiety. That's exactly what I felt. And pay attention to the way the song is composed. How it's really calm at the beginning and then it just gets really crazy. Bro, that's how my day would be, bro. It would be ups and downs. I felt manic. I felt frantic too. Everything was chaotic. But this started to go away, right? So as I began to become stronger, listening to positive music instead of negative music and meditating, it's crazy. Like, the problems that I thought were so big were becoming smaller and smaller, entirely manageable. If not by me, then by Yahawah. I was going to be all right. Like, that's what I started to realize. Like, okay, it's okay. You didn't lose yourself. You can never lose yourself because you are yourself. You just had to stop being somebody else and slow the hell down. I just had to slow down, y'all. All right. Once I started to slow down and I could actually spend most of the day without having an episode in my mind, I actually could rest. I actually could sleep. I actually could sleep, y'all. I could actually sleep for like maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. And that was good compared to 2 hours of choppy in and out sleep, waking up, looking around like, did this person text me? No? Oh, damn. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, that was horrible. But so I actually began to sleep through the night. I remember the first time I slept through the night, I woke up like, what the? All right. Hey, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm all right. I can do this. I could do this, y'all. And the last thing, I'm going to just tell y'all, man, the last thing, I started doing mental activities. Like, I started to think of everything as a way of life, as a lesson in life. Instead of taking those walks, I would run far, far, far. I started getting advanced. I would run as far as I can away from my house until I was dead ass tired. You know, and then I would take that same distance back when I was dead ass tired. And sometimes I would see those storm clouds coming and I would still run as far as I can. And if once it started raining, then I would run back. And that might sound crazy, but I had to teach myself. And Yahawah was showing me that as long as you don't stop, you're going to make it. Now, see, if I would have stopped in that rain, I would have just been getting rained on anyway. I would have still not made it to where I was going, which is back to my home. And I would have still been getting rained on. So he was showing me that even if you're tired, just don't stop. Keep going. Don't give up. And you're going to make it out of this depression. You're going to get rid of this anxiety. And because you're doing it in-house, which means on my own, through my own faculties and resources, you will have the recipe. You will have the recipe to beat this whenever it tries to come back in. And man, that was really a blessing. Guys, I know this is a pretty lengthy video, but man, if you know somebody going through depression, this could help them. This could help you. Please. I don't want anybody to go through that. Don't do anything out of hate, because that could lead to it too. I used to hate so much stuff, but I wanted to save the world out of hate. You can't save the world out of hate. You know, if you look at the people that made a difference, they loved the righteousness about life. They didn't hate the wickedness. They loved the righteousness. And that might sound like, wait, that's the same thing. No, it's not. They employed and embodied love and peace to accomplish what they wanted. That if you just hate something, that's a different energy, and your intent is different. Therefore, your outcome is going to be different, guys. So I had to learn that too. I promise to never do anything else out of hate. Don't get rich because you hate poverty. Get rich because you love wealth and being able to give and help people. And then you'll get it. Okay? So I'm going to just give y'all 7 points, right? Exercise, rest, meditation, mental activities, prayer, positive affirmations, and evaluation of your circle. And practicing discretion. Practice discretion with people as well as music. Okay, and I'm going to do it again. Evaluation of your circle. Positive affirmations, prayer, mental activities, meditation, rest, exercise. All right, guys. Love y'all. I'm not trying to be trendy. I don't need to be famous. I'm just a black native doing the best I could be and being the best I can be. Love y'all.